welcome back to this course on post-traumatic stress disorder, cleaning and clearing. We just went through a process of the inner child or adult self-reclamation, so we have to ask ourselves, what now? Where do we go from here? If we look at the origins of the course and why, and we looked at compartmentalizing, we looked at people who had to stuff their feelings and hide or repress memories, etc. And we looked at this being a guide and a way of cleaning and clearing those things so that a person can actually move on. So instead of burying or swallowing those things, we're hoping that this has now allowed for process of that same stuff, so that if we looked at shock and trauma, and we looked at what we needed to do to collapse, these are some tools that I provided for you, hopefully that you will use, hopefully that you've become aware of if you weren't before, in terms of being maybe a clinical practitioner and supporting other people as they process their stuff. But I want to talk about some of the resources that are also available to you, because that's very important too. One of those resources for those people who are interested in the tapping, which has become extremely comfortable for a lot of people in terms of practitioners who support this and do that, and many individuals who do it for themselves in a variety of ways. EFT being the most popular form of that. And I would remind people there's a thing called the World Tapping Summit. A gentleman by the name of Nick Ortner, O-R-T-N-E-R, puts that together. And there's all sorts of people that present for that, and it doesn't cost, and it's well worth checking out, because you'll gain a lot from just becoming aware of that. And remember, the goal was to become a healthy guardian of the self, an advocate for the self as opposed to an adversary, a friend to the self, a steward of the self, if you like. So this is what we're hoping will come, because a lot of people have ended up self-sabotaging. So we want healthy custodianship, okay? So that's the aim of this, so that it brings a person to a place of authenticity. And so, for some people, it's the very first time they may have been in that place. So remember, self-sabotage, it was about healing the parts of the self, bringing the ages and stages of the self where a person was blocked or stopped or stunted at some level, emotionally stunted amongst other things. And so we're working towards cleaning, clearing on a regular basis to remain healthy and to remain healthily spontaneous, so that we have a great ability to laugh, to take things in, and just to enjoy the present, the absolute now. So hopefully a person can move away from the three greatest stresses, which are fear, pain, and fear of more pain. Okay, there's been a lot of material written on that. There's been a lot of material written on now, the power of now. Eckhart Tolle for one of them, Wayne Dyer. So the goal was to move away from those stressors and pressors, in a sense, into the present, so that there's peace, there's possibility, and that a person is open to new possibilities, as Gary Craig once called it, the palace of possibilities. So being authentically present, spontaneous, allows a person then to be able to master addictions to a big degree. Remember, we talked about isolation and trauma being such a big part of that, and that addictions are, in a sense, a state of artificial grace. So how do we get to an authentic state of grace? Well, it's being in a state of gratefulness, having an attitude of gratitude, moving from being a dispirited person into a spirited person. Remember, the Latin for alcohol is spiritus, alcohol. So when you look at that, again, it helps us understand about the artificial nature of spirituality that comes through substances or even processes. And hopefully by cleaning, clearing this stuff, you will have an authentic sense of self and a sense of one's own spiritual self. If you look at religion, some people will have a faith that's a faith-based religion. Others will have a faith that's based on principles or a set of philosophies. My own personal beliefs hang around the Huna philosophy, the Hawaiian Huna philosophy, which has 7 basic tenets. And those tenets are, number 1, the world is what you think it is, so it's to do with your beliefs. Number 2, that there are no limits. In other words, we are open to that full palace of possibilities. Number 3 is energy flows where attention goes. So where are you putting your focus? What is your new focus? Number 4 is now is the moment of power. So you can begin to take new actions that, based upon a new set of lenses, so to speak. Number 5 is to love is to be happy with. Love is actually the only ethic needed in Huna. In other words, it's coming from a place of healthy intention. Number 6 is all power comes from within. Number 7 is effectiveness is a measure of truth. In other words, when we look at that, really it means all that matters is what works. You may remember I said at the very beginning about be skeptical, but my hope is that this has helped you in some way to move and shift and clean, clear, and release some of the things that were holding you locked in or causing you to have fear-based reactions, including panic attacks for some people, but triggers, unhealthy triggers. Another thing I would urge you to look at is perhaps the Hawaiian method of forgiveness, which is a thing called Ho'oponopono, which means letting go, constant cleaning and clearing, coming to a place what they call 0 point. So if you want to do any reading, I would recommend things like there was an article by William Whitman. It was, I think, in 2008. There was called Amazingly Content. I would urge you to look at that. I would urge you to look at Joe Vitale's book on Dr. Hulen Iliakala. It's called Zero Limits. If you're interested further in reading more about the Hawaiian ways, then Serge King, no relation to myself, he wrote books like Urban Shaman, Mastering Your Hidden Self. He also wrote one, I think it was, there was another one he wrote. I'm trying to think what it was. Anyway, Dr. Bruce Lipton, another popular book there, The Biology of Belief and How It Impacts Us. I would urge you to read that. And of course, I would hope that you would read more about vibrational medicine. So please consider reading Dr. Richard Gerber's book. And I hope that you even consider perhaps reading my own. Stephen P. King, that's Rapid Recovery, Accelerated Information Processing, and Healing. I'll see you next for the final lecture. Thanks for joining me.